So we have Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. Most of you are familiar with him. I think Rakesh was probably the greatest investor India's ever produced. And he was a split brain. I don't know how he did it, but he had a one side where he's trading frantically every day, in and out, three, four screens in front of him, all this stuff. On the other side, he has these few stocks that he never touches. So, like for example, very, very early, he bought Titan. But what was remarkable about Rakesh is he then loaded up more on Titan, paying 16 times what we paid for the first stake. So most of us will never be willing to pay 10 times, 15 times what we paid for something 2 years before. We're not going to pay add another zero to that. He did that. In fact, he kept buying Titan repeatedly at higher and higher prices. And it ended up that I think when he passed away, he never managed money for anyone else, just his own money, $5.6 billion. And I think about 2 billion of that was Titan, right? So how many times did he need to be right? But he knew in this case he was right. And at the same time, he's trading in and out of hundreds of stocks, right? But he doesn't touch Titan. So that's a remarkable guy. In 1972, Buffett and Charlie Munger bought a company called See's Candy. And it's a small California company. They paid 3 times book value. They were choking at the price. Warren at that time was a deep value guy, always wanted to buy things at a discount. Here he was buying a business where 2/3 of the money evaporated. Basically, it was intangibles. And they paid about, I think, 13, 14 times trailing earnings for that business. And they were really choking on the price, where they finally said that if the family wanted even $10,000 more, they would have walked. And they paid about $25 million for that business. And he always left his managers alone to run the business. But he told his manager, Chuck Huggins, that on December 26th every year, I will set the prices for the following year. So he used to go to the See's Candy price list, and he raised the prices every year by 10%. And what blew him away was that they raised prices by 10% and sales went up. And then the next year they raised it another 10%. And this is, in a country with an inflation rate of 2, 3, 4%. And for 50 years, they've been raising the prices 10%. And See's delivered an avalanche of cash. I would say in the last 50 years, I think they mentioned a few years back, north of 3 billion in dividends to Berkshire. And Warren and Charlie said that they could have paid 100 million, even 150 million for the business, 6 times, 5 times what they paid, and it would have been a bargain. But at that time, when they bought the business, they didn't know that or understand that. But it took them about 5 or 10 years, probably more, maybe like 15 years, to truly understand the power of See's and the power of brands. And in 1988, they made an investment in Coca-Cola. And at that time, he put 1/4 of the total book value of Berkshire Hathaway into a single stock, Coke. Huge bet. Some insurance company buying a, company they don't control. And Coke was a huge home run. And Warren said that if they had not made the See's investment, they would not be able to make the Coke investment because they would never understand Coke. And the Apple investment, which was more recent, would not have happened without See's or Coke. So it was not actually a tech investment, it was an investment in a brand and consumer behavior. He understood consumer behavior. So when we look at investing, it has to be a complete no-brainer at the time you're making the investment. So whatever opportunity is in front of you, if you need a spreadsheet, it's a pass. If you need Excel, it's a pass. If you cannot do the math in your head that I'll put this money out today and in 3 years I'll get it all back, or in 4 years I'll get it all back, it's a pass. And there will be investments that will show up at unpredictable times and at times sometimes when you don't expect. Our job as an investor is to be like a salmon fisherman standing by a stream with a spear. Doesn't know when a juicy salmon would go by, but he has to be very patient, waiting for a long time. The juicy salmon will come, but we don't know when it'll come. We don't know how big it'll be. And that's the nature of investing. It's very opportunistic. It's also an extremely forgiving business. In the case of Buffett, as long as he didn't lose a lot of money, 95% miss rate still made him the wealthiest human. So it's an extremely forgiving business. The best of us will be wrong half the time. Most of us will be wrong 2/3 of the time. But that's okay. The errors don't matter. What matters is the focus, that when you do find something great, that you keep it for a long time.
I just want to reiterate. So I was talking to Sanjeev Bichhandani, who's also a legendary venture investor, and I asked him, what's your secret and all of that. And one point he made was in his venture investments, he feeds the winners. If a company is doing well, he'll invest in every single round. And in fact, in his mind, he reserves almost 2/3 to 3/4 of the capital for future investing in case there is a winner. And that's how he makes big stakes in Policy Bazaar or in Zomato and so on and so forth. And I just found a statistic today. If Warren Buffett had not given away 55 billion worth of shares in Berkshire Hathaway, which he's given away since 2006, his net worth today would have been $293 billion, which would be $41 billion more than the current richest man, which is Elon Musk. So his net worth is after giving away $55 billion.
Someone asked Buffett, if a genie comes to you and gives you one wish, what will you wish for? He says, when they look at my corpse, I want them to say, man, he was old. And he wants to die really, really old, not because he likes to hang out with us. He just wants a long runway. He understands, like he said, first 11 years he was wasting his life. So he's been compounding now for 83 years. And that's what he wants to do. Just keep it running for as much as you can, as long as you can.
When Peter Lynch said, "Don't cut the flowers and water the weeds," he was exposing the biggest mistake investors make. Most people do the exact opposite. They sell their best performing stocks too early and keep holding their worst ones, hoping they will recover. But look at what legends like Rakesh Jhunjhunwala and Warren Buffett actually did. They did not just hold their winners, they kept buying more. And that's a real difference. Wealth isn't built by owning many average stocks. It's built by going big on few winners. So next time when your stock is winning, ask yourself, am I cutting the flowers or watering it?